What are we focusing on?
You didn't get my list. Just kidding.
I have my own list too.
A very action-packed day for you. Didn't you do a podcast this morning as well?
Actually, I met a client this morning. I had a podcast this morning. I actually woke up at 2:30 with all these ideas. You ever have ideas just fill your head and you can't go back to sleep? So I got up at 2:30 and wrote down all those wonderful ideas.
Nice.
Right? Did a couple email things that I had to get done. Sat and had some coffee, and about 5:30 I went back to bed till 7. And then had to be up and on the road to be at my appointment by 8. You know, here I am. Hey, life is amazing.
There's always something to do. I know, isn't it crazy? No, actually, I have those moments in the shower when you can't really like write with a pen. I don't know, my brain just goes crazy in those shower moments.
You know how to do that, right? So you turn the shower on real high so you get all kinds of shower vapor.
Oh, yeah.
And then you write what you want. And then when you want to recall it, you turn the shower on when you're outside and you write it all down.
Like your own personal secretary. You turn your shower back on, you can see your notes.
That's right.
That's great.
You can do that in a hotel room. You can do that in a hotel room too, you know. So when you've taken a nice hot shower, you're going to check out, let the shower run really, you know, right in the mirror. You know, I'm watching. And then, you know, that way when the next guy takes their shower, they'll get out and see that. It's like,
that's great. Yeah. Ooh, great idea. I'm going to steal that one.
By the way, here's breakfast.
Oh,
it's
a piece of bread.
Piece of bread with butter. Piece of bread with butter.
Well, at least there's butter in there.
Very healthy. I'm health oriented.
Yeah, good. Some great, you know, actually butter is good for brain food. So there you go. You're not as far off as
That's my problem. I eat too much butter.
Yeah, you eat a lot of brain food, huh? Too funny. Well, let's get back on track, shall we? I'm a drill sergeant this morning, can you tell?
I'm ready.
While you're eating, I'll regroup. Now, I was mentioning to everyone we were going to focus a little bit about getting back on track with our goals. You know, sometimes we'll start off in the new year with these big aspirations and big dreams, and before we know it, you know, life happens and we start losing traction and things start to kind of slide. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that since we're about 4 weeks into the new year. Can you believe it?
Goes fast.
Did I catch you between bites?
I do good. I take little bites. That way I can stick it in the corner of my mouth and talk. I'm expert at that. All of us professional speakers are.
It's a professional speaker idea. Yeah, that's good. So what do you do? Do you set New Year's resolutions or goals? I don't do New Year's goals. Yeah, I don't either.
I don't, because they have to be ongoing all the time. I mean, I know some people go, you know, at the beginning of the year, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And that's good as long as you update them all the time. And you had a couple ideas and I wrote mine down. I said, first of all, have a coach. I mean, you know, this is not a self-plug. It's have a coach, because what most of us fail to do, whether you're going to be losing weight or whether you're going to be exercising or whether you're going to be growing your business, it's tough to stay on track, as Tamra just said. Yeah. So a coach holds you accountable. And if you can't afford a coach, there's a nice little program out there called Coach Accountable. And if you want to, drop me an email and I'll send you the contact. But it's only like $20 a month and you can put your own goals in and it holds you accountable. And then also, of course, you always have your marker board that you always have up on your wall that says, these are my dreams and goals. And then you have your calendar, which says, I'm going to hit this goal by this time. And if you don't, move it to where it's like next week, I have to hit this, right? And keep it right there in front of you all the time. Those are my 3 big ones. How about you?
So very similar. My first one is to remind yourself to be mindful when you set goals of any kind. I think it's really important to recognize effort and really become aware of the energetic behavior we put into a goal. Sometimes they're goals that are really not necessarily achievable. And I don't even like to think of them as goals. I'm kind of being hypocritical here, but I like to think of them as marker moments in life where we achieve things and not necessarily goal planning, because sometimes if we don't achieve a goal, we have shame around it. So I like to look at life as monumental moments that I've achieved, things that I want for myself, which is essentially goal planning. But what's that?
You said something earlier, and I want you to expound on that if you would be so kind. You said recognize the effort. Tell us what you meant by that. I mean, I know, but other people may not.
Right. No, recognizing the effort. Sometimes we put ourselves into situations where we're excited about it and we're intentional in the beginning, but then it loses momentum and we start to like kind of forget about it. We kind of just, get on with life and we start to slip away from our goal planning. So one thing I do, very similar to the whole bathroom shower thing, I actually, the giant sphere in your bathroom, I actually take dry erase markers, or I actually stopped using dry erase because they melt in the shower. But I started using permanent marker and actually writing my goals on the mirror and use just, little Windex to wash it off and restart over. So it's just the same concept as, a dry erase board. But if you don't have one, you can actually use that, and it helps remind you of what you want to achieve in that day. So in what I'm doing right now, because I have a lot of goals or a lot of plans for this year, I've been real intentional with trying to put some great programs out. So I'm blocking my time together. That is where I'm just recording or where I'm just creating content, or maybe I'm meeting with people and having discussions. It's called time blocking, where you really do put a lot of effort into just putting intention in a direction that's forward moving. And sometimes those connections can spill off into other directions, but to really be intentional with that time and effort. And that is one of the ways I kind of like really keep myself honed in on that specific goal so I achieve them.
And that's a really good point. Sometimes when you set your goals, and like Tamra said, you don't have to call them goals. You can say, whatever you want, milestones, you can set yourself to achieve certain things.
Right.
But most of the time we need a plan. If you don't have a plan in place, it's like your whole life. When I ask people, hey, are there places you've never been? I go back to using myself as the example. When I was in my early 40s, one of my good friends said, Steve, where do you want to go? Well, I was with my wife at the time, and I said, I don't care. And she said, we want to go to Hawaii. And so it was like, okay, well, why haven't you been to Hawaii? And I went, we can't afford to go. And he goes, Steve, now he knew what I lived, how I lived, all that stuff. He goes, you can afford to go to Hawaii. When I'm telling you, we can't afford to go to Hawaii. Long story short, what he said was, how much does it cost to go to Hawaii? I went, well, I don't even know, too much.
Right.
And he said, how do you know it's too much if you don't know how? So he said, let's call and find out. We called and found out. And then he set a plan in place that said, and it turned out to be like $3 a day. And 2 years later, I could go to Hawaii, top, not first class, fly the plane, but, really well, not skimp. And we went to Hawaii 2 years and 4 months later because a plan was set in place. And boy, that changed my life, knowing how to set a plan in motion.
Right. And even keeping track, like I'm a big believer that you set a plan, but in order to feel the momentum of it or the success, you have to keep track. You have to look at, okay, wow, cool, it's actually going somewhere. Things are changing and things are going. And, you start getting that excitement, which actually kind of creates the momentum for success. And I think a lot of the times we'll put things down or plan it out, but we won't take that time to look back and go, okay, am I actually on track, or am I slipping, or am I ahead of the goal? Because sometimes, when you are distracted with real life, you could be kind of starting to kind of slip, and you'll not realize you're now all of a sudden even further off that goal. So it's important to not only just be mindful in the actual effort, but to actually give yourself the gratitude along the way.
And that is really important. Jerry Kruckenberg, my Cairo friend, is on, and she said the same thing. It's sometimes we'll make the effort. So if I want to lose weight, I'll really work hard at watching my diet or exercising faithfully. And then at the end of the week, you didn't lose a pound, and you're like, why am I doing this? But the answer is, you did it because, first of all, it's good for you. If you ate right and you exercise right, your health has improved. And that's important that we recognize the effort along the way. And I don't care what that's in. Sometimes when we talk about relationships, Tamra and I come on here talking about relationships a lot of time. And setting goals in your relationship is important. Knowing what each of you want out of your relationship, where you want it to go, is important, right?
Yeah, how do you navigate when you have a moment that you feel like you're slipping in your goals? What do you do, Steve? Is there something specific that Yeah.
Yeah, first I beat myself up really well. That's something I do. And you do. I think most of us are like, I don't know why I ate that cookie. Why did I eat that cookie? It's not going to, why did I eat this? Why did I do that? And so yeah. But we beat ourselves up, and that's go ahead and beat yourself up for a few minutes and then say, what does it take for me to get right back on this track to success? And then you have to look at your goal. So let's say it was a week. You went through the whole week and you didn't do anything. You ate pizza and you did all this. You know what? Start again on that day and say, okay, now I'm going to do better. Now, if it's exercise or if it's life. So for me, it's business goals all the time. So I set out last week, I'd let my podcast, which is the Harlequin Business Show, which is my newest one, kind of slip. And I hadn't been faithful to it. So I put out a thing last week that said I need to keep that going every single week, every single time. And then you have to dedicate, you know, like 2 hours to fixing the video and the audio and all that stuff. And so when I did that, I automatically got online and booked in 6 new guests for this next 6 weeks. And so what I did was took action. So after you need to take action to make your reality come true. Is that the way it works for you?
Well, for me, I first recognized that the reason I fell off track, like if there's something, if I'm attached to an aspect, ooh, can you not hear me? I'm not sure Steve can hear me. I'll just keep on going. Can you hear me now?
I lost you. I can't hear you at all.
Interesting.
I wonder how that happens.
I don't know.
Interesting. I'll get off, come back.
Okay, sounds good. For me, I look at the aspects of losing. If I've lost my way, I recognize that that's an opportunity for me to reconnect. I'm gonna see if I can re-invite him. Hold on, guys. I apologize. Oh, nope. And now I don't even know how to get out of it. Okay, there we go. Sorry, guys. I will. Maybe there was a reason I needed to be redirected. Is there an opportunity here for me to kind of re-guide back on? Or is it really just that moment to sit there and see how much success I've had? That sometimes I'm in the belief that we slip a little bit in order to learn how much we've grown. So even when I'm goal planning or doing something around this space, I will recognize, well, is it a moment to reassess, or is it an opportunity to see how much I've done? So I use those moments to kind of celebrate those situations. I see that Steve is struggling to get on. I was going to try to re-invite him. Let's see. You're still invited, Steve, so I'm not sure why I can't get you back on. Oh, there you are. Sorry, guys. So I'm recognizing that when we have that huge step back, could be that really cool aha moment. That either you need to modify your goals, or it may be a chance to actually show a little gratitude to yourself, pat yourself on the back for the successes you've had. So for me, like I was saying, that the stepping back in path may be the recognition that you really aren't off your goals, but it may be an opportunity to see a new sense or a reevaluate your goals at that point. So what, the next thing, are you still struggling with hearing me? Steve, can you hear me at all?
Can you hear me?
Uh-huh.
Okay. What happens if somebody blips into my screen and then I lose your volume? So don't ask me why, but now I don't hear you, even though I see you. So I'll try it one more time and hopefully they won't blink in.
Sounds good. So the next thing, after I recognize that those elements are starting to slip for me, I will really start to pay attention to my patterns. Sometimes if I am in a self-sabotaging experience, I'll start to create more of that, and then I'll lose traction with my goals. So can you hear me now? Oh, good. A little play this morning with our with our show.
Yeah, Facebook is such a funny thing. You know, it's like most of the time it works really well, but then, like I said, a thing here was from a personal thing. So I told somebody there was a LinkedIn local happening here that they should attend to help grow their business, and they wrote in and said, "What's LinkedIn local?" And then you went gone. I'm like,
oh, how interesting.
I just shut down Facebook altogether. Yeah, don't answer my emails. What's wrong with you?
No, there's always failure when we multitask. I'm just kidding. So yeah, then the last aspect for me when we were talking about our goals and how to stay on track is to recognize that when I don't focus and I let everything else kind of compile into my my goal or my week or losing, you know, that focus momentum, will add to my load. So distractions, I recognize over time, will actually add work to my schedule. and it will create more frustration and sometimes even a defeating thought of the fact that I can't achieve the goal because I've got too much going on, or whatever the story is. It's just a story anyway. So that will create this belief that I can't have it, or it's not supposed to happen, which can actually be a missed opportunity. So I have to be real mindful. Am I giving it all my attention? It goes right back to effort, right? Kind of in a little circle here. Go back to effort and what my effort is, and am I showing up with full effort? And, am I planning and monitoring my successes so I can keep the momentum going? And then right back to focus, to recognizing that if I'm not focusing, letting distraction happen, like hanging out with friends or maybe going for a hike twice instead of once today. I have a tendency to do that. Then, I know. That was my turn. Sorry, guys. I got a call. I think we should put our phones on airplane mode, but I don't know if that kills our ability to do this.
Yeah, good question. We'll have to try that sometime with just you and me. But you said something that was interesting, and ever since I've been helping, 25 years I've been helping people set goals and achieve them. And one of the things that I'm always amazed at is when I tell people they have to write their goals down. This is what we want to achieve. A lot of times they have a real fear of that. And in asking the question, I go, why are you afraid of that? Well, first of all, like you said, what if we don't achieve them? But the other one was, but Steve, what if my goals change? I went, you see, if you write them in pencil, there's an eraser on the other end. You can erase that goal. But it's not set in stone. This is because if this is what I want today, maybe tomorrow that isn't what I want. So if my priority today was to lose 25 pounds, we'll go fast forward 3 months. Maybe my priority was to be able to walk 5 miles instead. So everything changes, and you have to allow it to adapt and your life to change. So if you've got certain goals, just accept that they're going to change along the way. So modify them, adapt them. That's why I say a lot of times it's micro goals. When I do relationship work, I ask people, what are you looking for in a relationship? And a lot of times when people say, I'm looking for someone who will love me. Oh, that's a great idea, but what does love mean to you? And what love means to you is different from what it means to me. So underneath love me, then they have to put what that really means. So if you say, I really want to be in better health, well, what does better health really mean? I want to weigh less, I want to exercise more, I want to do this. Each one you got to break down into a micro part underneath. And it's not like it's hard, factual, I'm going to really work hard at doing this and I don't want to work that hard at my goals. You have to look at what you want your life to be. Those are the things that are going to change us. I ask people all the time, if you like where you're at, I called it my shop mentality when I worked in the shops in the Quad Cities, Moline, Illinois, Davenport, Iowa, where there used to be lots of mechanic shops. And the shop mentality was for the guys, hey, all I want to do is go hunting and fishing, be in my boat and watch some TV, drink a lot of beer. Hey, there's nothing wrong with that if that's what you want, right? If that's your goal, life goals. But if what you want is, you know what, I'm stuck in the Quad Cities or I'm stuck in this little town and I want to be out here, then you have to set yourself up to achieve that and figure out how you're going to get there. And those are really critical. And when you talk about achieving those goals, do you have somebody who's going to hold you accountable? Now, I will qualify too, because one of the things I tell people when they say, I have goals and I'm going to share those. Be careful who you share your dreams with, because a lot of people not meaning to will tear down your dream. So if you're sharing your goals, share them with your coach or someone you really trust that wants you to achieve them. Not necessarily your mom or your sister or your brother, right?
Yeah.
That's just there
are a couple of reasons why that's the case. There are emotional attachments people have to your success. And it being the fact that they want it done in a perceptive of what they think is success versus what you're thinking is success. So a lot of the times if we share goal, dreams, or aspirations with people that kind of nag us a little bit, I mean, I hate to say it that way, but they're thinking they're being supportive, but they're really being kind of like on your tail. It can actually kill a relationship. It can actually harm the ability to feel safe with that person. So sometimes when we share, we have to be accountable and responsible for what we do share with others. And also to really acknowledge the fact that people are always leading with good intention for the most part. And we may give them so much power that it feels like we have no power, we have no voice. So it's important to be accountable for that. And do think a lot of the times we're also very emotionally invested in our own goals and our achievements. And if we don't feel the success or don't feel like we did it in a way that we wanted to do it, a lot of shame pops up, and we have a lot of, you know, I call it self-sabotaging moments, because really we kind of start talking ourselves down and start really expressing disconnection, and we lose momentum from that because of the shame. It just kills us.
Yeah, and that's really critical to understand self-talk. You know, people ask me all the time, it goes back to that Zig Ziglar thing of, but it seems like you need motivation every day. And Zig Ziglar was like, yeah, but you need a shower every day too, so you go ahead and do that. And so it is something that when we self-sabotage or we self-talk, it's like, oh my God, Steve, you're so stupid, right? Instead of saying, oh my God, Steve, you're so stupid, you say, Steve, for such a smart guy, that was a stupid thing to do. Now you've associated with that action, that effort, that happening, and it's not directed to you, right? And those are things we have to learn to do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. The more, and it's so funny because I'll talk to a lot of clients, and they'll be talking about, like you're talking about, relationships, especially in relationships. Why did I say that? Why did I do that? We go right into the belief that showing up and sharing was wrong in that way. And that can also restrict. It's kind of like, when do you share, when do you not share, can really become an issue, because we start trying to judge, you know, our safe spaces. So yeah, negative internal, you know, banter can kill our goals and our dreams. So we have to monitor how we speak to ourselves. We have to monitor who we share with and how we share, because sometimes it's not necessarily that they're wrong to share with, but if you're, oh my gosh, you know, I call it fire hosing, and you kind of dump them with all these dreams and goals and things, and then they go, whoa, you know, like they're overwhelmed by it. And if you really look at that, if you look at the way you're over enthusiastic, or they aren't on the same page as you because it comes off over enthusiastic, it can actually, you know, make you feel uncomfortable and really unsafe. So I think there's a lot to be said about how you share, why you share, and what you share.
You know, and that's really critical, who you share it with. There are balcony people, basement people. We've talked about that a couple times on the show. But just be aware that people have really good intentions and may use the wrong words and how they're going to help you think they're helping you. You know, we've never done that. You'll never be able to get that done. And why would you ever want to do that? Those type of things. So when we're setting our goals, just be aware that sometimes we want our goals on a refrigerator. And a lot of times you really want your goal on the ceiling in your bedroom, right? Get the ladder out, get up there, tape it to the ceiling. So when you go to bed at night, you go, oh crap, I got to do that in the morning. That'll make you feel so much better.
I get to see your poor ceiling. Your wife must love you. All these different sticky notes on the ceiling.
You've been talking to my wife again. What are you doing?
Oh, you know, this girl's got to stick together.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Yeah. But yeah, you know, it is important that you have your goals in front of you, that like you said, our whole thing started here with how do we remind ourselves to stay on track or get back on track, and where you put them on your mirror. You know, if you've got a weight loss goal, put your weight on your mirror, like she said, in your marker there. And so you know that on this date, I weighed this much. And every time you go in to brush your teeth or to comb your hair, whatever you're doing, you say, oh yeah, I don't need to eat that piece of candy that I just put in my face, right? And go ahead and spit it out. It's okay to spit it out even, right? So those are the kind of things that remind you all the time. So whether it's on your refrigerator, whether it's on your mirror, no matter where it is, put it in your car so that you know, boy, when I go grocery shopping, one of the things that used to call my name a lot, and Tamra knows this about me, was donuts. Man, I'm a donut freak. I don't think I've had a donut. Yeah, I don't think I've had a donut now in 6 or 8 months. Pardon?
Confessions of the Donut Man.
Yeah, I mean, my wife would tell you, if we could drive down the street and I go, there's a donut place. Hey, there's a donut place. And I saw them everywhere all the time. All you had to do was a really teeny sign. I could say, donuts in there. And so when Krispy Kreme was hot, I was their favorite customer because it would say hot. I don't care what I'm doing. Driving down the interstate, I'm turning off, going to a hot Krispy Kreme. And true. And what happened then was somewhere, yeah, she'd go, where are you going? I go, hot donuts.
Donut. You'd be in trouble.
Well, we even knew that some of the Krispy Kreme, when it said hot, you got in and you got a free donut. So the first one was free, but the next 6 that I ate were... No, they don't. Well, the signs, but when it's lit, it's hot. See, there you go. Something you learn. Then you know that they're in that squishy where you barely get them in your face before they melt away. Ooh, that's so good. But about 6 or 8 months ago, I said, you know what? I've lost my taste for donuts. Why? Because I finally came to that realization that I don't need to eat donuts. You know, I mean, I get enough fattening stuff and I stuff my face with stuff, and I was tired of gaining weight. So when I turned that corner for those kind of things, I now see them and I go, yeah, there's a donut place, and I don't have a craving, I don't have a desire. And that's a big change for me emotionally. And so I have to look at some of the things that I've changed, even though my weight hasn't significantly changed like I would like it to over the last 6 months. What has changed is my attitude. And that's a significant change all by itself. So I think one of the things that we like to do is know that we're on the right track. And when I feel like I'm on that right track with my goals, that's a big step.
So here's a question for you. A lot of the times when we are told we can't have something, we then focus on what we can't have. And that now becomes a sabotaging thought, right? Exactly. So I found in my own personal life, I have my own goals of, I have a work, play, life balance. I have, children. I love to be on my mountain, and I love to work. So, but because I would consider myself kind of a passionate behavior where I will be so into something that the time will disappear. So my goals are more focused on how to create balance. And so I have a lot of intention, and I'll actually flat out, I'll admit it. I have a tendency to forget to eat because I am so focused in my goals that I lose connection to balance. I know. Well, it's my own issues. Just kidding. So what I've learned is when I focus and tell myself that, that negative thing, that negative that I can't have or I can't do, that becomes the driving thought in the mind.
Yeah.
So I've learned to shift that by saying, ooh, I get to focus on this for a little while. I get to focus on this for a little while. I get to do this for a little while. And then I put it out on my schedule. And I literally have, I don't know if anybody's seen those appointment calendars where they literally block out every hour into 15-minute increments. And so I'll put all my clients in there and all my meetings and all of my, all the things that are going on in Tamerland, and just literally not be married to it, because I think we have a tendency to kind of be obsessive in that way too. I've got to stay on track, we've got to keep the goals going, and you lose connection with joy in life. I actually shift that by, letting things roll with the punches and kind of enjoy life and go with the flow, but also mindfully focused on my wants and needs and things that serve me. So you found with telling yourself, let's use your donut example because I think it's so darn darling and just so fun. Do you feel like since you told yourself you couldn't have donuts that it became, was there any point during that process where you felt like you just had to have a donut? Or was it just an easy effort thing for you to shift?
I think a while back I learned that our brains do not, what's the word? The word can't, they don't assimilate don't.
Doesn't hear the word don't. So, can't, or not.
Yeah. And so when you say, and I've told my clients for a long time, when you say I'm going on a diet and I can't have apple pie, so what do you crave? They go, apple pie. I went, why is that? Because you keep saying apple pie, apple pie. They go, no, I say I can't have apple pie. I go, but see, your mind doesn't hear can't or don't. Your mind hears positive things, unfortunately. Now, it will create negative things in your mind. But truthfully, if there's, for me, if I said I can't have donuts, that's not really what I meant, even though I said that. What I did is I shifted my thought from have all the donuts you want, Steve, and you're going to keep gaining weight. And that was not the result I wanted. So it was like, okay, what result do you really want? And have a carrot instead or something, And I've learned that those little baby grape tomatoes have real good sweetness to them, and they take the place a lot of times of candy or a treat that I thought I would have. I go to the fridge, I'll grab a couple baby tomatoes, and it was like, boy, those are really, you forget how good natural things can be. And so if you understand that I can't do this, like we took my driver's license away from my dad before he passed away, probably 10 years before he passed away. And all he could focus on for the first 5 or 7 years was, I am stuck at home because I can't drive. Right. And I said, you know, Dad, the truth is most of us spend our lives trying to earn enough money so that we can hire a chauffeur who will take us everywhere. Now you have that, right? Mm-hmm. But now you have that. And he looked at that as a negative. You'd spend your whole life working to get to this place. He got to that place and he hated it because he was focused on the can't. And you're exactly right. If I focus on a can't, suddenly I'm wanting that more than anything. So I focus on a different level a lot of times. And that's where we set our goals down. We have to set our goals on what we want and what we can. And so that's the truth of how we're going to live your life.
Absolutely. And when you fall short or when things don't work out quite right and you slip and have that donut, you recognize it's not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. It reminds us how much that it didn't serve us to eat it. You know, sometimes then all of a sudden the donut now tastes too sweet, or, you know, needing to do things for yourself, you feel more, you know, like in certain aspects of you're trying to control so much of your life, you can recognize by trying to over control, you isolate yourself. And so a lot of these, you know, behaviors of trying to force something creates a very disconnected feel. So it's very important to know when we goal plan or do our, you know, our tasks, to be mindful of what are we really wanting in those goals. You know, really sit there and understand, what am I really saying to myself when I set those aspirations up? Yeah.
You know, it's interesting though that you said something earlier. You said sometimes you forget to eat. And I forgot to eat once and I died of a stroke, just so you know.
Wow, nice talking about your angel spirit.
How do you forget to eat, right? Everybody listening in is going, how do you forget to eat? There's 4 of you who went, oh, I've forgotten. The rest of us are like, no, we need to forget sometimes, but we don't.
Yeah.
See how you.
No, I totally. It's you know what? I think it's truly a state of, you know, the power of focus. It really is the power of focus. You know, a lot of us will, you know, when you think about having a lot of fun and you realize, you know, have you ever been on a, you know, vacation and you've been exploring and seeing things and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, I'm just grumpy because I am so hungry. It hits you. Your sugar levels drop and all of a sudden you're like, wow, I don't think I ate today. And it's amazing how, you know, how quickly it happens. But it is a reality for many of us.
Can I ask you a question? When you go out on your, she says she loves to be on her mountain, and I have to admit, she takes wonderful pictures of herself out on the mountain, and the views are so spectacular. But how long do you stay out there? Are you out there 2 or 3 hours, or?
Depends on where I hike. Sometimes when I do Camelback, there's a big mountain out here, it's pretty high, and I'll do both sides of it, and sometimes that's 3 hours and I also go up there and I journal and I write my books and I do a lot of program work up there. So it's really my sanctuary to go there. So
you have a backpack? You have a backpack or something? Well, you say you take your journal, you just carry it in your hand?
My cell phone. I actually have a program. I have Word in my phone, so I can actually write my books right up on the mountain. Yeah.
Cool.
That is
fun.
So
those are things. Yeah, those are things that, you know, a lot of us don't think about, you know. I mean, my wife and I, we go kayaking and we do those kind of things. We don't have something we do faithfully, like she goes out and hikes that mountain faithfully. And boy, that sure would change our perspective, I think, on a lot of things. If we have something that we love doing that much, would help us to find better focus and also take our mind off of certain things. Because when we're doing something, when you're actually doing something rather than sitting in front of the TV, you have a different attitude. When you're sitting in front of the TV, it's like, oh, what kind of chips can I eat? What kind of this can I do? And you also forget to be romantic a lot of time with your partner. When we talk about romance, it's when you're out doing stuff, you appreciate your partners more rather than sitting in front of the TV vegging out and watching other people's lives, become what you might want or think about. So when we talk about goal setting, the one thing I want you to understand is goal setting is nothing more than your grocery list. When you go to the grocery store, 90% of us take a list and try and get everything off that list. If for some reason, like we were at Sam's the other day and we were looking for something. Oh, garlic, a nice big thing of garlic. And we always buy it at Sam's. This time they didn't have it. So what? Do you get mad? Do you get frustrated? Get angry? No, you say, hey, I didn't have this. Now I'll leave it on my grocery list, right? And so when you go to the grocery store, you get as many things on your list as you can. When you write down what you want in your life, whether it's this week or the next 10 years, write down the things you want in your life and then put together a plan on how you're going to get and or achieve them. And that's significant. And just because you didn't happen now doesn't mean you take it off your list. It means I make another plan for how I'm going to get that. Those are significant areas that once you learn to do that will change your life.
I agree. I personally also think that you look at your goals a little differently and celebrate, what's the attachment? Where are you going with this goal? Does it benefit you emotionally? Does it benefit you financially? And why are they there? Is there a reason you want this? Figure out your why, because a lot of the times when you know why you do what you do, success happens naturally, and it's really not like setting goals anymore. For me, hiking every day is not a goal. It's a part of my lifestyle. It's the way I live life. And so a lot of the times when it started off, a lot of the times things will start off as a goal or an idea, and then also it shifts into a way of being. And, if I didn't have my mountain time, I think, I would do something else in Mother Nature because that's what resonates with my soul. But if I hadn't taken the time to learn that about my character and my personality, I would never have done that. I wouldn't have, explored that option. So a lot of the times when we set these goals, it should be exploratory, playful, loving. I really love having goals that are something that I'm excited about, and it creates a positive moving momentum in my life. So it's just something to shift the way you set goals. They shouldn't be burdenous and full of anxiety, really shift the perspective on that.
Yeah, so we're going to ask you a question as we wrap up here today. We're going to ask you the question of, what are your goals? What are you doing to achieve your goals? If you'd love to write to us, you can write to Tamra. Tamra, your email is?
Tamra@tamrablankenship.com. I actually put both of our emails in the link below for you guys, so you can actually grab that. And Steve's, if you want to ask or learn more about him, you can also look him up on his website and check and learn a little bit more about Steve there. And I put mine down as well. And also just to recognize that, I don't know, Steve, if you want to post that thing you mentioned earlier today about the calendar, if you want to post that in there for people, or you can contact Steve there and have him give it to you.
Yeah, that'd be great. So just let us know what you need and what you're looking for. We're here every Wednesday. We love your input. We certainly love that you join us on this podcast, or I call it podcast, Facebook Live. But we love that. Now, Cameron, do you do a podcast also?
I do. It has been shut down. It's called The Shift Show. I need to get it going again. So when you mentioned about starting your podcast,
it's called The Shit Show?
No, The Shift Show. It should be called The Shit Show.
Oh, I see.
But I have been focusing heavily on my YouTube channel. So all of these lovely podcasts and any of my continuing stuff that I've been doing is all on my YouTube channel. So I definitely, if you would like to learn or see some past shows instead of scrolling through Facebook, you're welcome to go there onto the actual YouTube. It's just Tamra Blankenship, and it's Soulfire Igniter, so you'll be able to find me.
Soulfire Igniter, isn't that cool? That's a cool name. Yeah. Well, if you want to join me sometime, I have the Happiness Agenda podcast. You can find that on iTunes as well as the other places that you look. We just started up a new podcast just the last couple of months called Harlequin Business Show, if you're interested in business. But the Happiness Agenda is where we just talk about different things that help you find more joy, love, and happiness in your life. So find us someplace. Then ask us questions. Certainly, we'd love to see you back here next Wednesday.
Excellent. I also have Steve's show posted on my website. So if you go there, you're welcome to find it if you're already following me. You'll see our interview there where we chatted about things. All right. Thank you so much today, Steve, for being here again. And we're looking forward to seeing you guys next week. Bye.
Bye.